everyone, welcome back to my studio. This is Emma, and as usual the weather report here in Cumbria is it is a bright and sunny day. Have to say it's going to be one of those days where the sun comes and the sun goes, so if the light keeps changing I do apologise. There's not a lot I can do about it. I do my best to make it not too glary and not too dark, but you know, hey, that's how it goes. So welcome back. Last week, that was fun, wasn't it? Just taking a box of total scraps that most people would think, oh, you just chuck those out, because except if you're a fabric hoarder like we are, of course, and we appreciate the finer things of life, it's amazing what you can do, especially when you've got an embellishing machine. I have to say, the best thing since I bought my sewing machine is buying my embellishing machine. It is just a joy to use, as I keep saying. Don't have to have one, it's not essential to life, but it does make life more exciting, I have to say, in this studio, because it's so versatile. You can use it to pin things down, you can use it to create fantastic textures, and the beautiful thing last week was it didn't matter what I was doing, I was just throwing the things on, throwing the pieces on, slap a piece of net on and off you go. So apologies if you haven't seen last week's, do go and have a little look and see what I did with this. Today we're going to see where that's going to take me. But I did promise that I would show you, somebody asked me if I would show you what I altered on my piece from last time, the seascape, the beautiful poppies and seascape, and I did in the end very gently embellish these edges because they were a little bit too ripply. It was like you were looking at the edge rather than the actual picture. So I actually very quietly and gently put that under the embellishing machine and just did the edges again. And I also did use my little heat gun just to neaten up the edges on these a little bit, because I've been handling them. The fabric had frayed a little bit more than I would have liked. There were little stray ends, so I've just very gently used my heat gun to do that. So there we go. Isn't it lovely? I was so pleased. You left me some lovely comments about this piece. I think I had more comments than I've had for anything else I've done so far. I think it was a very exciting piece to do, and it certainly took me to somewhere I haven't been before, and I really loved that you appreciated the process of it. It was great. A very cheerful piece, I think, full of light. So as I say, today we're going to be getting back to these greens and we're going to see where they're going to take us. I've got a little glimmer of something that I think is going to show up. I've got a funny idea going on here, and I think it's going to be an even more free piece to do than this was. So I'm going to just roll up my sleeves and I'm going to head over to my embellisher and we're going to see what's going to happen next. Ooh, completely forgotten. Very important announcement. I won't be here for 2 weeks after this video. I'm having a little bit of time out. It's time to just chill out and do some fun things and step away from my studio. I think it's really important for my head, and I think maybe it gives you a little bit of downtime as well. So whatever happens with this today, we'll have to wait and find out what the next thing is going to be after this one. Who knows? I never know. So I'll see you in 2 weeks after this video. I think it's the 7th of September. So this is not the piece I made last week. Haha, I've just put that to one side. So this is basically a slightly bigger version of what I did last week, okay? Same process, cutting up lots of little bits, put a piece of net on it, pin that in place and put it underneath my embellisher. Now the trick with the embellishing is to do as much or as little as you want to, and you can always go back over it, and if you want to pull little bits up and you can have a little bit more texture going on, you know, nothing is set in stone with this. It's wonderful. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a little bit of stitching. I've got some lovely green threads here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of wild and wacky free machine embroidery just to get this held in place, and then we'll see where that's going to take us next. So first things first, I am choosing to use one or possibly both of these colours of threads. That's slightly darker, and that'll just sort of hold things in place quite nicely. And this other one I might add in a little bit of highlighting, I'm not sure. I just really want to sort of hold it down roughly. I don't want it too precise. So I'll get that threaded up. The other thing is I have put underneath here some tearaway stabilizer, so that, because this is quite soft, that's just the curtain interlining and the bits of fabric. So that is really too soft. It'll get scrunched up a bit if I put that under now without that. So that's tearaway stabilizer. And now I'm going to thread up and we will get stitching. Okay, so I'm set up here for free machine embroidery. I've got my darning foot on, or embroidery foot. I've lowered the feed dog teeth underneath, and I have also put my stitch length onto 0. On my machine I reduced my top tension ever so slightly, but you don't necessarily need to do that. So we're good to go. I've got my presser foot down and I'm just going to do some random free machine embroidery. I want this piece to be very free, but I do have to be a little bit careful because I might snag some of these threads. They are so free that they might just get a bit snagged, but you know, they'll be all right. Okay, so I'm going to just snip that thread and I'm going to put a new thread on the top. Okay, so I've got a slightly lighter coloured thread on here now, and I'm just going to go over some other bits. I'm guessing you can't really see very much of this because it's green on green, so I will finish this lot off and I will show you the next bit very soon. Okay, so there we go. That is now stitched. I haven't done a lot. I'll just show you, if I can show you on the back. You can see I had a yellow thread and a green thread in the bottom spool. You can just see it's quite random and it's not everywhere because I really feel I want this to be very wild and very free. I just, after doing the poppies, I just got this sense of I just want things to be, I don't know, falling off the edges, nothing too straight, nothing too organised, a little bit ramshackle, a little bit just let's see what happens. So I've got these nice fluffy edges up here, and I'm just had this idea that what I would do is I'll add something on the top, and I want it to be not like one big piece that I do a top and a bottom to. I want to deliberately add something on, and it's not even going to be exactly the same size as this piece, you know, it's going to be slightly wider, and I just felt that was the thing I needed to do. So what I've got, over here, I shall bring in these. I have got 2 bags. I may only need one, I don't know, we'll have a little rummage, and you can see I have got lots of silvers and greys and textures and lacy bits, and sorry, I'll try and get that way you can actually see it. I'm trying not to pull it out all over this, but you can see I've got myself another bag of scraps. I think this project is just all about using up my scraps and playing in a very different way, playing with small pieces rather than big pieces. So I'm just going to pull a few of these out at random, see what we've got. Some of them will be what I want to use, some of them might not be what I want to use. We shall see. I don't know what shades I want. I think I'd like a little bit of texture here and there. So let's have another little look. A little bit of silver, that might be quite nice. I'm feeling as though it might be something mountainy. Sort of as though, or possibly it's the sea. I'm not quite sure whether it's a different coloured sea. It's just something I'm looking for. I know I've got a little bit of this somewhere. If you'll just bear with. It's not that stuff. It is in fact, where are we? Oh, there we go. That's what I'm after. I know I have this in, you see. If I just show you it here. This is really nice to use. This is lacy, stretchy fabric, and I've used it a great deal. It's got a really nice texture to it. I think that would be nice in the pot. So what I'm going to do next is, I think I'm just going to move that out of the way actually because it's a bit confusing. What we need is to have just this here. So I'm just going to cut some pieces. I feel as though I don't want them to be quite, I want them to be not quite as small as the little pieces I had for the other one, but I don't want them to be too defined either. I feel as though this is going to be going across this way. And as I say, I think it could be something like it could be sort of mountain or it could be sea. Who knows? But I just know it'll be a nice contrast with what I've got going on with the green. And I'm going to embellish it down again so that it all kind of blends in together. Oops, just trim that little bit off. This is all about just cutting. Don't think about the shapes. Don't think about what you're trying to achieve. Just cut some pieces, cut some colours, mess about. Honestly, I couldn't be happier doing this kind of thing. I've got no thought in my head about what it's going to be like other than just playing with these fabrics. That might need to be a bit of a, it's got a bit of a seam in the middle of this piece. I might see if I've got another, oh yes, there's another little bit long here. There we go, we'll have a bit of that as well. Just chop it up. Chop, 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 chop. That might give us 3 little bits. So I'll just put those there for a minute. I feel as though we need a little bit more something down as a base. Got some of that. Okay, so we're getting in a bit of a mess here, but that's all right. Just get me scissors. Okay, so I'm just playing around with the bits of fabric. Some of them I'm actually just sort of almost using as they've come out of the bag, because some of them are already cut into nice little funny little shapes. Really, I quite like them like that. And until I get it embellished down, I won't know exactly how these fabrics are going to behave. Oh look, there's a longer bit there. Let's have a bit of this bit over here. I don't know exactly how they're going to behave together, so a bit like the green piece, you have to be prepared to put some on and then add some more in. Again, I think we're just going to let it go over the edges a bit, and I've got some nice, sort of purpley colours here. I thought, well, I quite like the idea. No, that's too dark. That's way too dark. But I found these bits, and I found this lovely piece of lilac-y. And I thought that's quite nice. It's quite mountainy. A bit more silver. So I'm going to be faffing around with this, as you can see. I think that's a bit too strong. Do I want that in? No, I don't think I want that in. Let's see what we can do with a bit of this. Do we want a bit of that in? That's a bit grim. I think that's a bit grim, I think. I kind of want it fairly lightish, but a nice contrast to the green. I'm just going to cut a little bit of this up. I feel as though a little bit of this, just a hint, could be quite nice with all the greys going on. What else have we got? There's a little bit of that there. See, so you could take a little bit of that and pop it in. It could just become something, or not. I don't know. We'll see. I might just use that bit of it. I quite like the idea that it's quite a long, thin bit. Let's just chop that up a bit. Sorry, it's very faffy and fiddly, this bit, but you know, nothing is riding on it. Well, you see, if you put that one on top of that, that actually looks better to my way. I just want to feel as though it's going outwards. There's little bits here. Which bits of this would we use? Kind of again longwise, I think. Perhaps a little bit with the brown. What else have we got? These fabrics, honestly, I've had some of these years and years and years, and I'm still Still enjoying using them for all sorts of different projects. The scraps just keep on giving and giving. Nothing's ever too small to chuck out, really. She says. This is why I have a lot of things in my stash. So I think we'll just cut a couple more pieces and then I just really want to give you the gist of what I'm doing here, what I think I'm doing here. That's not perfect. Let's just see what we can see. Nothing's perfect, as we say in this show. Nothing's ever perfect. Right, this is just going to give us a rough idea. Very rough idea. Now obviously these are going to shrink up when I embellish, so it's not going to be, you know, like this forever. Oh look, I forgot to put those bits in. No, don't like that. Don't like that. No, no, no. And I don't think that's right to have all of that at the top there. But, okay, so this is just me playing. Don't take any notice of it. It'll get changed. It'll alter when I embellish it anyway. But I just want to show you roughly what's kind of going on in my head, you see. I'm going to need another little bit of this. Just need another little piece of this. I can't just have one piece. It's hopeless. Let's just have a little piece of this again. There we go. There we go. A little bit of that in. Okay, so this is not how it's going to end up. But you see, I've kind of got this being very wild and rough down here. And I want it literally just to plonk on top of there. And then I'll probably embellish it all in place. Don't ask me why I'm doing this. Don't ask me why I'm not just doing it all as one piece. I have no idea. I just knew, I felt it wanted to be as though it's separate pieces just added up together. So, there we go. I think that's probably enough for today. As I say, I won't be here for 2 weeks now, so you're going to have to just wait with bated breath to see what's going to happen next and how this is going to develop. I'm just as excited as you are, and it'll probably look very different when I come back from my holidays. I might change my mind completely and not do what I'm doing here. Who knows? But either way, it's going to be fun to do, and we'll see what happens. That's the game. That's the game. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. I hope you've enjoyed this piece of fun, and I will see you again in about 2 weeks' time on the 7th of September. I think that's the right date, in my studio. And in the meantime, I hope you have a very peaceful creative holiday, whatever you're doing. This comes with love from me to you. Bye for now. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba.